Every house has secrets. Some hide them in the walls. Some bury them in silence. But this house, it remembers. It remembers the eyes that once watched, the lies whispered in the dark, and the lives destroyed within its walls. Tonight, you'll hear the story of Autumn, a story not just of fear, but of betrayal, of family, and of ghosts that never die. Listen closely, because the Watchers are still here. Exterior, Autumn's mansion, night. An old stone mansion sits deep in the woods, looking almost abandoned. Moonlight struggles to penetrate the dense canopy, mixing with the faint light from the mansion's windows. The bare branches of the trees in the yard rustle in the wind, creating eerie shadows. Interior, Autumn's living room, continuous. Autumn, 30s, sits in front of the fireplace, a warm mug in her hands. Her eyes are tired. Her face shows the strain of divorce and a new beginning. A photo of her with her ex-husband pops up on her phone. A bitter smile crosses her lips. Autumn, muttering to herself, a new beginning, I guess. The doorbell rings. Autumn jumps. Who would be here at this hour? She stands up and moves toward the door. As she opens it, she's met with a face full of wrinkles, a creepy old neighbor, Mrs. Miller. Mrs. Miller, whispering, "Are you new here? Don't stay long. Those eyes, they're watching you." Autumn freezes. She slams the door shut in Mrs. Miller's face. Her heart pounds in her chest. She leans against the door, trying to catch her breath. Autumn, to herself, just a neighbor, just a little tired. Autumn turns and looks out the window. Something flashes in the depths of the woods, like a camera flash. Exterior, Autumn's mansion, night. Autumn moves closer to the window. Her eyes search for the mysterious light source in the woods, but there's nothing there, just a deep darkness and the rustling of trees. She tries to calm herself. "You should stop watching horror movies, Autumn." She walks away from the window and sits on the old, dusty rug in the middle of the living room. Her eyes land on a picture on the wall, a happy family portrait of the mansion's former owners, a father, a mother, and a little girl. Their joy is a stark contrast to the mansion's gloomy atmosphere. Her phone vibrates. A message from her ex-husband. "Have you settled in? Are you sure you want to be alone?" Autumn reads the message and immediately deletes it. She doesn't reply. She needs to be alone, to get away from her old life, to breathe. She stands up and goes to the kitchen for a glass of water. As she turns on the faucet, she notices the water is murky. It clears up after a few seconds, but even this small detail is enough to make her uneasy. She places the glass on the counter. While looking out the kitchen window, her reflection in the glass startles her. She sees a shadow standing in the darkness right behind her face's reflection. Thinking something is wrong, she quickly turns around, but there's no one there. Just the kitchen table and chairs. Long pause. She takes a deep breath. She tells herself that her first night in the house is just hard. But a growing suspicion takes hold of her. Mrs. Miller's words. Was she just an old neighbor? Autumn goes to the bedroom. As she straightens the thick blanket on her bed, she notices something shining. An old analog camera rests under the pillow. It is dusty and old. Autumn picks it up. The small screen on the camera is broken, but a small square photo next to it catches her eye. She bends down and picks it up. The photo looks like it was torn from an old family album. The face of a little girl in the photo, looking out of the old mansion's window, is captured in the exact spot where she is now. Interior, Autumn's bedroom, night. Her heart is pounding. The face of the little girl in the photo, looking out the window of the house where she is now, sends a shiver down her spine. She examines the camera. It's an old model. She turns the camera over and looks for some inscription. There is a small inscription on the bottom of the camera. In memory of M.M. In memory of M.M. Mrs. Miller. Autumn realizes the camera belongs to her. But why is the camera under her pillow? The doorknob jiggles slightly. Autumn looks at the door with fear. She waits to see if the door will open, but it doesn't. Only the sound of the jiggling echoes in the silent room. Autumn pulls out her suitcase from under the bed. She takes out a flashlight, puts the camera in her pocket, and leaves the room. The corridors are dark. She turns on the light in the living room. On the picture on the wall, the face of the little girl looks even clearer now. She notices another strange detail. The coffee cup on the coffee table has changed its position. It is not where she left it a few minutes ago. Autumn realizes she is not alone in the house. She's startled by a sound coming from the kitchen. It sounds like a knife. Autumn turns on the flashlight and slowly walks towards the kitchen. With a trembling hand, she holds the doorknob. The light from the flashlight streams through the gap in the door and into the kitchen. There is no one there, only the curtain in front of the window swaying slightly in the wind and a gleaming knife on the counter. Autumn hesitates to enter the kitchen. Her heart is in her throat. She quickly turns back and runs towards the living room. She stops for a moment, looking at her reflection in the mirror right behind her. There is nothing behind her, but on the surface of the mirror, the words, "I am watching," appear as if written with steam. Interior, Autumn's living room, night. Autumn scrambles backward from the mirror, her heart a frantic drumbeat in her ears. Her scream is a raw, strangled sound. She turns her back to the mirror, not daring to look at the words again. Her hand fumbles on the floor, searching for the dropped flashlight. She finds it and grips it tightly. The beam of light cuts through the darkness, dancing across the walls. She points the light back at the mirror. The words are gone. There is only her terrified reflection staring back at her. Was it a hallucination? Her mind plays tricks on her. She quickly checks her phone. Still no signal. The isolated location means she's cut off from the outside world. She needs to get out. She rushes to the front door, yanking on the handle. It's locked. A shiver of ice runs down her spine. The old latch won't budge. She tries the back door, but it's also stuck. A floorboard creaks upstairs. Autumn's head snaps up. The sound is clear, deliberate. It's not the house settling, it's a footstep. Long pause. She holds her breath, pointing the flashlight beam up the grand curving staircase. The light illuminates the dark hallway above. No one is there. She listens intently. The sound of a key turning in a lock echoes from upstairs. A lock she didn't even know was there. Autumn realizes her worst fear has come true. She is not alone. The Watcher is inside the house, with her. She has a terrible choice to make: stay on the ground floor and wait, or go up to face whatever is up there. Long pause. Her eyes fall on the fireplace poker, a heavy iron tool. She grabs it, feeling the cold weight of it in her hand. Her hands are shaking, but a wave of defiant rage courses through her. She won't be a victim. She'll fight back. She takes the first step onto the creaking staircase, her eyes fixed on the darkness above.
Interior, Autumn's mansion, staircase, night. Autumn's feet move slowly, each creak of the old stairs a thunderous clap in the silent house. The fireplace poker feels heavy and awkward in her trembling hands. The flashlight beam, a shaky cone of light, sweeps across the ornate wallpaper, casting fleeting shadows of grotesque figures from the patterns. She reaches the top landing. The hallway stretches out before her, a long corridor of doors and darkness. She raises the flashlight, the beam illuminating a single door at the far end. It is slightly ajar, the one she heard the lock click on. A faint sound reaches her ears. It's not a footstep this time. It's a whisper, a low, distorted voice, like a muffled recording coming behind the partially open door. You should have listened to her. The eyes, they told you. Her blood runs cold. The words are chillingly familiar. They are an echo of Mrs. Miller's warning. Autumn realizes this isn't a random break-in. This is personal. The whisper is a confirmation that her intruder knows about her encounter with Mrs. Miller.
A sudden gust of wind rushes down the hallway, slamming the ajar door shut with a deafening bang. Autumn jumps, letting out a small gasp. The flashlight slips from her grasp, tumbling down the stairs, its beam bouncing erratically before going out with a final clatter. She is plunged into complete darkness. The sound of her own frantic breathing fills the void. She's alone in a pitch-black corridor with no way to see and a whisper that confirms the presence of her tormentor. She clutches the fireplace poker tighter, her knuckles white. She takes a step forward, blindly, into the void. In the suffocating darkness, Autumn's senses are heightened. She can hear the pounding of her own heart, the rasping of her breath, and the low hum of the house's old wiring. She takes another blind step, her outstretched hand scraping against the cold, rough surface of the wall. She feels for a door handle, any handle. A floorboard creaks just ahead of her. She stops dead. It's not her footstep. It's someone else's. Closer now. The sound is slow, deliberate, as if the person is enjoying her fear. "Where are you, Autumn?" a voice whispers from the darkness. It's a man's voice, low and distorted, like the sound from the other side of a poor phone connection. It's not the echo from the camera flash. This is live, here, in the hallway with her. Autumn's mind races. She remembers the two suspects from the outline, the electrician, Hassan, and the former owner, Farhat. The voice doesn't sound like the friendly, albeit quiet electrician she'd met. This voice has an unnerving confidence, an entitlement. She tries to back away silently, but her foot bumps into something on the floor. A familiar, cold, and square object. The camera. It's been left here for her to find. A mocking breadcrumb.
"Sound your new toy?" The voice whispers again, this time closer, right behind her. Autumn whirls around, swinging the heavy fireplace poker blindly. The poker connects with a solid object, not flesh, but something hard, something metal. A grunt, followed by the clatter of something falling to the floor. The voice lets out a low, humorless chuckle. Wrong move. A single, small light clicks on, not the flashlight. It's a headlamp shining directly into her eyes, temporarily blinding her. In the sudden glare, she can make out the vague shape of a man standing just a few feet away. He's holding a small camera with a single red light blinking on its front. He's been filming her. "Now let's play a game," he says, his voice now clear, chillingly calm. Interior, Autumn's mansion, upstairs hallway, night. Autumn raises a hand to shield her eyes from the blinding headlamp. The man's voice, now crystal clear, is devoid of emotion. He holds the small camera up, the red light still blinking. "I need a close-up for the final scene," he says, taking a step closer. "You're doing great, Autumn. I've been watching you for weeks. Every detail." He takes another step. Autumn lowers her hand, her eyes adjusting to the glare. She can see him now, a slender, pale man with dark hair, a subtle, cold smile on his face. She racks her brain, trying to place him. The face is vaguely familiar, but she can't put her finger on it. Then he speaks again, and everything falls into place. "Your ex-husband was so easy to manipulate," he says. "He told me everything. He knew I was following you. He knew I was setting this up. He just didn't think I'd get this far." Autumn's world shatters. Her ex-husband, the man she spent a decade with, was in on this. A wave of betrayal washes over her, replacing her fear with a cold, focused fury. She doesn't wait for him to finish. She lunges forward, not to attack him directly, but to grab the camera out of his hand. He's startled, not expecting her to react so violently. The camera clatters to the floor. As she moves, her foot slips on the cold, polished wood of the hallway floor. She loses her balance and crashes to the ground, her headlamp-wearing tormentor looming over her. The fireplace poker clatters uselessly to the side. "That wasn't in the script," he says, a hint of annoyance in his voice. He reaches down to grab her. Autumn, on instinct, kicks out with all her might. Her foot connects squarely with his knee. He yelps in pain and stumbles back. This is her chance. She scrambles up, ignoring the pain in her knees, and turns to flee. But as she does, another figure steps out of the shadows. It's the electrician, Hassan. He's holding a small black box in his hand, a look of profound sadness on his face. "I'm so sorry, Autumn. You were never supposed to be a part of this." Autumn freezes, trapped between two men, one a deranged stalker, the other an accomplice. The watcher is not one person, it's two. Interior, Autumn's mansion, upstairs hallway, night. Autumn's gaze darts from the man with the headlamp to Hassan, the electrician. Hassan's face, usually so calm and kind, is now etched with a deep, sorrowful regret. The black box in his hand is a remote control. He looks at the other man who is rubbing his injured knee, a scowl on his face. "You weren't supposed to reveal yourself yet, Farhat," Hassan says, his voice flat. Autumn's heart sinks. Farhat, the former owner of the house,
the man her ex-husband's family had talked about in hushed, disapproving tones. She now understands. The Watcher wasn't a ghost or a random maniac. It was a well-orchestrated plan, and Hassan was a part of it. She was getting too close, Farhat says, limping slightly. It was time to end the game. Farhat lunges for her, but Hassan holds up the black box. No, the plan was not to hurt her. Farhat laughs, a cold, bitter sound. The plan changed the moment she found the camera, the moment she started to fight back. She's not a ghost. She's a person who needs to be reminded of her place. Autumn backs away, trying to keep both men in her sight. Farhat is the clear danger, but Hassan is the one who betrayed her trust. She feels a profound sense of loneliness, a new kind of terror that comes from a betrayal so deep. "Why?" she whispers, her voice raw. "Why me? Why this house?" Hassan looks at her, his eyes filled with a sadness that seems genuine. This house, it's a living, breathing memorial. My sister lived here. Her name was Ela. She was Farhat's first wife, and she was a victim.
Farhat's face contorts in rage. She was a mistake my family paid for. Autumn looks from one man to the other, her mind reeling. This isn't just about her anymore. This is a story that started long before she ever set foot in this house. This is a ghost story, but the ghosts are alive. Suddenly, a loud, piercing sound fills the hallway. The fire alarm. Autumn looks at Hassan. He is holding the black box, a small red light blinking on it. He triggered the alarm. Farhat curses and lunges at Hassan. "What did you do?" "I'm not going to let you hurt her, Farhat," Hassan says, his voice gaining a strength it never had before. "I'm not going to let you repeat your past." A struggle ensues between the two men. This is Autumn's chance. She bolts for the stairs, not daring to look back, and sprints down to the front door, yanking on the handle. The lock, which was stuck before, is now open. Hassan's remote control. She throws the door open and runs out into the night, into the woods.
Exterior, Autumn's mansion, woods, night. Autumn doesn't stop to think. She just runs. The rough terrain of the forest floor, covered in fallen leaves and gnarled roots, threatens to trip her, but she pushes on. The cold night air bites at her face, but she barely feels it. The only thing that matters is getting away from the house, from the two men inside, from the twisted, horrifying truth she just uncovered. Behind her, she can hear shouting, Farhat's enraged voice, followed by Hassan's more urgent, pleading tones. The sounds grow fainter as she plunges deeper into the woods, but they are still there, a constant reminder of the nightmare she's running from. She stumbles and falls, scraping her knees on the ground. She quickly gets back up. She looks around, disoriented. The trees all look the same. The darkness is absolute. She doesn't know which way to go. Long pause. Then she sees it. A faint, flickering light in the distance. It's not a flashlight. It's a warm, inviting glow. A fire. She recognizes it. It's the fire in Mrs. Miller's cabin.
She runs towards the light, her lungs burning, her legs aching. As she gets closer, she can make out the shape of the small, rustic cabin. She bangs on the door, frantic. "Mrs. Miller, please, help me," she screams, her voice hoarse. The door opens, and Mrs. Miller stands there, a solemn look on her face. She doesn't seem surprised to see Autumn. She just looks at her with a profound, knowing sadness. "I told you they were watching," Mrs. Miller says, her voice as soft as a whisper. "Now, you have to tell me everything. Everything you saw, everything they did, every word they said." Autumn looks back at the mansion, a black silhouette against the night sky. She knows her nightmare isn't over. It's just beginning. The true story of the house, of Ayla, and of the two men who orchestrated this twisted plan is still waiting to be told. And with that, the screen fades to black. Autumn's heart was about to stop when she knocked on Mrs. Miller's door. When the door opened, Mrs. Miller's face showed not fear, but a deep understanding. It was as if she knew this moment was coming. As soon as she entered, she closed the door with trembling hands. It was warm and dimly lit inside. The sound of the fire in the fireplace drowned out the howl of the wind outside. There were two of them. One was Farhat. The other, the electrician. Hassan. They were following me. Mrs. Miller gestured for Autumn to calm down and handed her a warm cup of tea. Autumn's hands were shaking so much she had a hard time holding the cup. Mrs. Miller sat next to Autumn and held her hand. "I know. I told you. Those eyes, they see everything. I know him. Farhat, he's a madman, and everyone who works with him is under his control." Do you know him?" Mrs. Miller's eyes filled with tears. She turned her eyes to the fire in the fireplace.
That mansion once belonged to my daughter. Her name was Ayla. She was married to Farhat. Her life turned into a nightmare. Farhat was constantly watching her. He was controlling her life by watching her. And one day, that horrible thing happened. Mrs. Miller's face contorted in pain. "Mrs. Miller, Farhat made it look like a suicide, but I knew. He killed Ayla. And since that day, those eyes, they've been watching me too. They've been watching you too. And Hassan, he was Farhat's brother, forced into this." Autumn was confused. Hassan, Farhat's brother. She realized this story had a deeper secret. She put down the cup and took out the old camera from her pants pocket. "Autumn, this is yours. It was under my pillow. It says, 'In memoriam, M.M.' Mrs. Miller took the camera in her hand. Her face held a mix of surprise and fear. "Mrs. Miller, this is impossible. I lost it. It wasn't mine. This camera belonged to my daughter. This is Ayla's camera."
Interior, Mrs. Miller's cabin, night. A heavy silence hangs in the air, broken only by the crackle of the fire. Autumn stares at the camera in Mrs. Miller's hands, her mind racing. M.M. In memoriam. It was never Mrs. Miller. It was her daughter, Ella. Mrs. Miller's face, a mask of grief, confirms Autumn's horrible new understanding. Ella. She was a photographer, Mrs. Miller whispers, her voice thick with emotion. She used to say her camera was her only friend. It was the only thing that saw what Farhat was doing to her. He would torment her, gaslight her, and she would document it all. The tiny scratches on the wall, the strange messages left on the mirror. It was her way of leaving a trail, of fighting back. Autumn's eyes widen. She thinks of the words on her own mirror. I am watching. It wasn't fear-rot mocking her. It was Ella's spirit, her memory, trying to warn her. What happened to her? Autumn asks, her voice barely a whisper. Mrs. Miller's jaw tightens. He made it look like a suicide. He drove her to the edge, then pushed her over. He told everyone she was unstable, paranoid. But I knew. I saw the signs. I knew he was the one. A sound from outside makes them both jump, a loud snap, like a twig breaking. They look at each other, their eyes wide with fear. The cabin, a beacon of safety moments ago, now feels like a trap.
"He's here," Mrs. Miller says, her voice trembling. "He followed you." Autumn's fear turns to a cold resolve. "He doesn't know you have the camera, does he?" Mrs. Miller shakes her head. "No, I lost it on the night he killed her. I was going to the police with her photos, but he must have seen me. I dropped it while I was running." Autumn looks at the small antique camera. "This is our leverage, the proof we need." A soft knock on the door. Mrs. Miller flinches, but Autumn stands her ground. "Who is it?" Autumn calls out, her voice firm. "It's me, Hassan," a voice responds, calm but strained. "Let me in. He's right behind me. We need to talk." Autumn looks at Mrs. Miller. She sees the doubt in her eyes. Hassan betrayed them once. Could they trust him again? Autumn makes a split-second decision. She gestures for Mrs. Miller to stay silent and stands ready at the door. Interior. Mrs. Miller's cabin. Night. Autumn looks at Mrs. Miller. The doubt is a tangible thing between them. Hassan's voice from outside is calm, but Autumn can hear the urgency in it. He said Farhat was right behind him. Was this a trick? A new part of their twisted game? Autumn decides to take a chance. "Open it," she says to Mrs. Miller, her voice low, "but be ready." Mrs. Miller hesitates for a moment, then slowly unlatches the door. Hassan slips inside, his face pale and his eyes wide with fear. He immediately relatches the door and leans against it, panting. "Hassan, he's mad. He's coming. I managed to get away, but he's close." Autumn holds up the camera. "Why are you here, Hassan? Farhat told me you were in on this." Hassan looks at the camera, his eyes welling up with tears. "My sister, Ella, she was my twin. Farhat, he was a monster to her. He controlled her life, her every move. My parents, they were too scared to do anything. He had too much power. He was my brother, but I couldn't stand it." Mrs. Miller's face softens, her grief momentarily overshadowed by this new revelation. You're Ayla's brother?" Hassan nods. "He told me he wanted to recreate the experience with Autumn. He wanted to show her what it felt like to be completely powerless. But he said he wouldn't hurt her. I was supposed to be the watcher, the one who kept him from doing anything too extreme. But tonight, he lost control." Autumn's mind races. Farhat wanted to play a game, a sick, twisted reenactment of his cruelty towards his wife, and Hassan was his reluctant accomplice. Autumn, to Hassan, "You told me you were sorry. Was that genuine?" Hassan looks at her with such earnestness that Autumn can't help but believe him. "He is. I am so sorry.
I couldn't let him do it again. Not after what he did to Ayla. Mrs. Miller's voice is shaky. What did he do to Ayla? Hassan glances at the camera in Autumn's hand. He made her believe she was going insane. He would make things move, put notes where they shouldn't be, and then when she was at her breaking point, he took her up to the roof and told her the only way out was to jump. He pushed her. A gasp escapes from Mrs. Miller's lips. The story is confirmed. The truth is even more chilling than she imagined. Suddenly, a loud bang shakes the cabin door. Farhat is here. Inside Mrs. Miller's cabin, a series of loud, frantic bangs shake the cabin door. Mrs. Miller clutches the antique camera to her chest, her face a mask of terror. Autumn, her hand on the doorknob, looks at Hassan. He's pale, his eyes wide with fear. Farhat, muffled from outside, "Open the door, Hassan! We have to finish this!" Autumn looks at Hassan, a flicker of suspicion in her eyes. "Why are you still calling him by his name?" Hassan looks down at his feet, shame filling his features. He was a victim too, a victim of my family's lies. Autumn's brow furrows in confusion. Before she can ask for clarification, a loud crack echoes from outside, followed by the sound of splintering wood. The door is about to give way. Hassan looks at Autumn with a profound sense of sadness. "I'm so sorry. I can't let him do this again." He takes a step back, and a small, muffled click echoes from his hand. The door, which had been splintering, suddenly stops. The banging from outside stops as well. Autumn looks at him, bewildered. "What did you do?" Hassan looks at her with a sad smile. "I'm not his accomplice. I'm his keeper. My family, they built this cabin for him. They told everyone he ran away to the woods. But the truth is, he was a prisoner of his own madness. I was his keeper." Autumn's world shatters again. Farhat wasn't trying to get in, he was trying to get out. "But why me?" Autumn asks, her voice trembling. "Why all of this?" Hassan looks at her with a grimace of pain. He was so obsessed with his dead wife. He kept reliving her past, trying to fix what was broken. But he was a monster. He took an innocent life, and he'll do it again. My family? They have to pay for what they did. My mother and father? They are the ones who put him up to this. They are the ones who are to blame. A loud thud echoes from outside, followed by a faint whimper. Farhat is on the ground. Hassan turns to Autumn, his face etched with a silent sorrow. "The truth is, my parents, they are the real monsters. Farhat, he was just a tool." Interior, Mrs. Miller's cabin. Night. A heavy, guttural moan from outside silences everyone in the cabin. The three of them, Autumn, Hassan, and Mrs. Miller, stare at the door, their faces a mix of shock and fear. Hassan's words hang in the air, a final terrible revelation that changes everything. My parents, they are the real monsters. Farhat, he was just a tool. Autumn's mind races, piecing together the new information. The mansion wasn't a trap for her. It was a prison for Farhat. The Watcher wasn't just a stalker, but a family's cruel attempt to contain their son's madness, using her as an unwitting pawn. "What did you do to him?" Autumn whispers to Hassan, her voice trembling. Hassan looks down at his hands, a grimace of pain on his face. I drugged him. My parents told me it was the only way to keep him calm. They said it was for his own good. They told me that if he ever escaped, he would do to someone else what he did to Ella. They made me believe I was saving people. Mrs. Miller lets out a choked sob. Her own husband, she now realizes, had also been a part of this monstrous web of lies. Her husband and Firat's parents were partners in crime, their silence and complicity a way to protect their reputations at the cost of 2 innocent lives, their children.
Suddenly, a new sound cuts through the silence, the distant wail of a police siren. Autumn looks at Hassan, a flicker of hope in her eyes. "Did you call them?" Hassan shakes his head, tears streaming down his face. "No, I can't. I'm a part of this. My family, they'd never forgive me." The siren gets louder, closer. Firat's moans are still audible from outside. Mrs. Miller, filled with a new strength and resolve, looks at Autumn. "We have to go to them," Mrs. Miller says, her voice clear and strong. "We have the proof. We have the camera. We have to tell them the truth." She clutches the camera tightly, a symbol of their freedom, of justice for her daughter. Autumn looks at Hassan. He's a broken man, a victim of his family's cruelty. "Hassan," she says softly, "you have to come with us. This is your chance to be free." But Hassan shakes his head, his eyes empty. "I'm already gone, Autumn. I was gone the day they forced me to lie to the police about what happened to Ela. I was gone the day they made me Firat's keeper." He opens the cabin door, steps outside, and locks the door behind him. The sound of the siren is now deafening.
XT, Mrs. Miller's cabin, night. Hassan steps out into the night and locks the door behind him. Autumn and Mrs. Miller watch in silent horror through the small window as he stands there, a lone figure in the swirling fog. The wail of the siren is now a piercing, deafening sound. The police cars, their red and blue lights flashing, come to a screeching halt in front of the cabin. Officers jump out, their flashlights cutting through the darkness. Hassan raises his hands, a defeated look on his face. Police officer OS, "Hassan, get on the ground, now!" Hassan kneels and the officers cuff him. He doesn't resist. He doesn't say a word. He just stares at the ground, a single tear rolling down his cheek. Another officer finds Firat's unconscious body near the entrance of the woods. They quickly move to him, checking for a pulse. Police officer OS, "He's alive! Let's get him to the ambulance."
Autumn and Mrs. Miller, watching from the window, feel a strange mix of relief and sorrow. The nightmare is over, but at a terrible cost. They know the truth now, a truth so dark and complicated that it might never be fully understood by the outside world. Mrs. Miller holds up the camera, its lens catching the light from the flashing sirens. "This is it," she says, her voice trembling. "This is the proof. This is for Ayla." Autumn looks at her, a silent promise in her eyes. "And for Hassan," she whispers. They both know Hassan, a victim in his own way, will pay the price for his family's crimes. But the truth that has been hidden for so long, is finally out.
Exterior, Mrs. Miller's cabin, night. As the police officers lead the handcuffed Hassan away and others tend to the unconscious Firat, a different kind of silence falls over the scene. The flashing red and blue lights paint the cabin and the surrounding woods in an eerie, shifting glow. Mrs. Miller and Autumn, still inside, watch from the window. A new car pulls up, silently, without a siren, a sleek, black sedan. A man in a dark suit gets out. He walks with a deliberate, confident stride past the police officers and heads directly for the cabin door. Autumn and Mrs. Miller look at each other, their faces filled with a new kind of dread. This man is not a police officer. His face is vaguely familiar, a face Autumn has seen before. He knocks on the door, not with urgency, but with authority. Mrs. Miller, her hands trembling, opens it. The man looks at Autumn, his eyes cold and devoid of emotion. Autumn, so glad we finally meet. My family, we were so worried about you. Autumn's heart freezes. The voice is calm, controlled, and all too familiar. It's the voice from her phone, the voice that was so easy to manipulate. It's her ex-husband. He is the one in the black car. He glances at the camera in Mrs. Miller's hand. Ah, the old camera. My father told me about it. It was a nice touch, wasn't it? My brother Hassan was supposed to find it and dispose of it, but he never could bring himself to do what needed to be done. Autumn looks from her ex-husband to Mrs. Miller and back to him. The camera belonged to Ayla, who was tortured by Farhat, and now the man who was supposed to be her protector is also a part of this monstrous web of lies. Her ex-husband was the one who was truly watching her. He looks at Autumn with a triumphant, predatory smile. You never really left me, Autumn, did you? You just moved from one of my properties to another. You see, my family, we own this entire forest. We own this entire town. You've been playing a game you never even knew you were a part of. The camera falls from Mrs. Miller's hand, crashing to the floor. The screen fades to black.
And so our story comes to an end. Sometimes the darkness of the past can cast shadows on the light of the future. But remember, no secret stays hidden forever. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and share your thoughts in the comments. Because together, we will discover many more stories in the shadows of fear, but always with a little smile.